Okay, so I want to welcome you to simplifying radicals containing variables. Okay, so the examples could say something like simplify the radicals as the instructions, and we just have to break down what's going on here. So as we learned before, we have the square root and the squared something. Here's our number being squared are inverses. They do the opposite effect of each other. So if you have the square root of something being squared, then what happens is you're just left with the number. Because the square root symbol and the 2 cancel each other out, just leaving you with the original number. So that's what's happening here. The square root that we see and the 2 inside the radical as the exponent cancel each other out, just leaving you with the x. With our next example, we have 2 to the 18th power all having the square root taken. So what you can do is take the exponent, which is 18, and you want to make sure it's an even number, and if it's not, you can break it in so that it is. I may look at some examples like that, and you just divide it by 2, because that is the number outside of the radical when it's a square root. And what you're going to get is 9. And since 18 is an even number, and it's divisible by 2, it's coming out as 9 as our exponent. And then we just write our base of x. And that's your final answer. The radical is gone. With 26, let's take our exponent and divide it by the index, which is 2. So we get 26 divided by 2 is 13. So we can pull it out now as our base of x to the power of 13. So really, we have the index divided by, our index should be on the bottom, and our exponent should be on top. And the number that you yield will be the base to that power as the answer. Okay, looking at number 4, we have the square root of 81 times x to the 8th. So what you can do first is pull the 81 out of the radical and know that that will be 9, because the square root of 81 is 9. Now to work with our exponent, we take our exponent, divide it by the index here, which when it's a square root we have 2. So that is 8 over 2, which is equal to 4. We can bring our variable outside of the exponent with the power that we just figured, which is 4. So 9 to the 4th. With example 5, we have the square root of a to the 16th power times b to the 12th power. So for a, let's take our power, which is 16, and divide it by our index for the square root of 2. So when we do that, we get 8. So we can pull 8 out with the power of 8. For b, we can pull our index out, our exponent of 12 and divide it by the index of 2, and we get 6. So we know we have b with the power of 6. And for our final example, we have 64 times a to the 6th power times b to the 8th. Remember, that's all being taken to the square root power. So what we want to do is first have our 64 come out of the radical as 8, because 8 times 8 is 64, or 8 squared is 64. Square root of 64 is 8, in other words. With a, we take our exponent of 6 and divide it by the index of 2, because it's a square root. We get 3, so we know a is going to have a power of 3. For b, we take our power, which is 8, and divide it by the index of 2, which is 4. So we have b to the 4th power. So our final answer will be 8a to the 3rd power times b to the 4th power.